What did that kid in your school do that will never leave your mind? The conversation turned to farts amongst the 7th grade girls. The new girl, short and squat, and as of yet silent, shook her head and stated, "I ain't never pooted in my whole life." It echoes in my head regularly to this day. I also say it whenever I'm accused of farting because it is hilarious. In 8th grade I was eating lunch across from this very strange kid. I remember him picking up his milk with both hands and squeezing it as hard as he could. Then it popped and got all over him, and his reaction was a disappointed look on his face followed by "oh man." One time at band camp, I know a kid started having asthma attack, and as the counselors were helping him, he started shouting this wasn't supposed to happen until Thursday. I still think about that very frequently. This was in elementary school. He got caught stealing from the teacher's assortment of goodies that she gave away once a week to students. She chose students randomly, based on a raffle system, where you had more tickets if you were behaved. After a huge mess of him crying and trying to say it wasn't him, he asked to be excused to the bathroom, where he was gone for a solid 30 minutes. The teacher got concerned, and upon checking the bathroom sign out sheet we discovered he wrote for the sign in time never coming back. So one of us went to check the bathroom and he wasn't there. The teacher tells the principal what happened, and the police is called in. Helicopter was flying by and a couple cars. They eventually found him walking home. Edit just remembered another gem. In 5th grade the one weird kid brought in a shoebox for no apparent reason. He went around claiming it was a uranium bomb. Although we knew that it was pure bullshit. The teacher sent him to the principal's office and the dude got in major trouble for a bomb threat. I was in art class and this kid goes, "Hey, check this out," sticks his middle finger down his throat and throws up all over the table. Brought a crossbow in and shot another student with it because the kid gave the police a statement about him stalking girls. He was very ducked up. In high school there was this kid who wouldn't have a conversation with anyone. Spent 4 years with the dude in the same class, and never have I seen him say more than "okay, sure, bye," even though everyone tried talking to him to cheer him up. We thought something was wrong, or he was just shy. He would just sit on his desk all day and look right in front of him, unless disturbed, until one day we had a big school fight. Those happen a lot in my country. No one expected him to show up, since he wasn't friendly with any of us, but dude showed up and proceeded to beat up 5-6 guys on his own like a ducking wrecking ball in a construction site. Shit looked like one of those cheesy martial arts movies. After the fight he came back, grabbed his stuff, said bye like it was nothing, and just ducked off. I still suspect to this day he was a robot. A science teacher in my school was cool if a little weird, not in a weird type way. His room was always open for the kids to hang out in. He spent a lot, or his own time and I suspect money, managing an animal club which the kids were responsible for looking after. We had hundreds of different animals, from hissing cockroaches to snakes to a 3-foot iguana, mice to chipmunks to chinchillas. He also liked to tell cool stories about his own life, such as the pigs that he kept, rasher and bacon, his caving experiences, sailing experiences, etc. He would spend his own time helping students that were struggling and give them extra tutoring if warranted. However, he never tolerated laziness or attitudes and would call out students that couldn't be bothered, which is where this kid comes in. This kid made a comic book depicting the science teacher aping the students, male and female, while saying his little catchphrases. It was found and brought to said science teacher's attention. A meeting happened with the senior management in the school where they brought the kid's mom and the teacher in. This 6 family and massive teacher, which a huge ginger beard, cried and said he had never experienced anything like it in his life before now. Even the rest of us hated this kid for what happened, and at that age we were really immature. Some girl changed her tampon in the middle of class in 7th grade. In middle school, there was this girl whose long hair kept spilling onto my desk. I asked for her to move her seat or her hair, and she turned around and ducking hissed at me. couple weird goth kids hid behind the bleachers during gym class and stuck chili flakes in thid holes. Not sure what kind of painful pleasure they were going for, but they both had to leave school early because of it. Saved his piss for a whole week or month, I forgot, and then sprayed it on all the handrails at school. Eventually he was ratted out by someone, and the VP came to get him in my homeroom class and confronted him and our teacher about the accusations. He said it was just apple juice, and he was just joking about it, and right when the teacher went to sniff and take a sip from the bottle he yells, all right, it's piss. Stole around a dozen textbooks, brought them into the boys' washroom, and burned them, setting the whole washroom on fire. A 10th grade girl got arrested coming out of school one day when I was a senior. Nobody really knew why. Then a few weeks later it turns out she was a pimp and was pimping out other high school girls to adult men. In the 1st grade a kid next to me was chewing on a pen and it ended up exploding in his mouth. Raised his hand to go to the bathroom. When the teacher called on him, he went to open his mouth to ask to go to the bathroom and the ink just started leaking out. He did a lot of strange things, but the one I'll never forget is he stuck his pinky in a pencil sharpener that year and turned the crank as hard as he could. Kid in 1st grade with me, we had the 6th graders come and read harder level books with us. Reading buddies as they were called. We had a kid named Mattia who was inspired by his reading buddy. His buddy dared him to shove a rock up his nose. Mattia did, then proceeded to tell the teacher and head to the nurse. Nurse just got it stuck farther and had to be sent home. No idea what happened after, if he had the doctor get it or sneezed it out. Same kid also wore a pumpkin costume, fell over and couldn't get up. Looked like the scene in A Christmas Story where Alfie's brother falls in the snow with all his coats on. The dude would constantly run on his arms and legs all fours through the hallways or any random time. Oddest thing I'd ever seen. I went to Catholic school, and during mass this girl sitting next to me didn't fully get up, but just sort of squatted and started peeing in the pew next to me. Girls wore skirts as part of their uniform. She left the school shortly after. Also had a kid who would get a nice big ball of spit in his mouth then let it drop out of his mouth into his shirt pocket. He said he was saving it for later. Catholic school is weird, folks. This kid in my computer literacy class in high school would talk to me nearly every day about his imaginary dragon girlfriend and how beautiful she was. He peed on some random girl's head when she was at her locker. This was in like 7th grade or so. Pretty sure he got detention for like a week, but his social detention lasted much longer. In high school, a guy I knew but never really hung out with, just had a class together, comes up to me during lunch holding the largest set of mortar fireworks I have ever seen. He said, "Watch this," begins walking towards the stairwell in trance. As soon as he disappeared behind through the doorway, go boom, loads of colored explosions shoot out. Everyone's freaking out, running around. First day of high school, UK, age 11. Kid found a pair of badly soiled boxer shorts in an outdoor bin that had clearly been there all summer. I'm talking caked in a 1/4-inch layer of dried shit. Proceeded to put them on his head and start chasing groups of people around the playground. Not the best first impression to make when starting a new school. The poor guy never really pulled himself out of the social rut he dived headfirst into that day. In my first year of university there was a kid who wore a dinosaur head covering hat that had a cape attached to it and would walk around campus just staring at people. My friend asked him one day what his name was, and he replied with King Retta. Weird kid. Haven't seen him since. A kid I knew took a poo in his hands and painted the walls in the boys' bathroom. Did not return next day. Next I heard him. He messaged me on FB, "Hey man, what up? You pooping the walls man, that's what's up." Threw a desk at a teacher and it ended up hitting another student. What seemed to be his mother used to come in and spoon feed him in the middle of the yard while all the other kids played but many watched. He was a completely able-bodied kid of about 9-10 years of age. You could see it in his eyes that it was killing him and that the whole thing was about her. Christ, I haven't thought about that in years. Looking back as adult, I feel disgusted. There was this kid at my school who would come into the boys' washroom and literally take a shit in the urinal. One time I walked in on the kid squatting over the urinal and he immediately got up, washed his hands and said, "Dude, look, someone shit at that urinal." He then walked out. I feel so bad for the janitor. One day in 5th grade, a kid's mom brought cupcakes and ice cream for the class and we went outside for recess to eat them. The overweight kid, who I always tried to be nice to because I'm pretty sure she had shitty parents, ate too many of these cupcakes and threw up on the playground. But she proceeded to tell everyone she was fine and was alright to go play some more. Not even 5 minutes later, I'm standing by the door to the entrance to the school and I smell the most horrible smell and look over and, of course, it's the same kid standing next to me. She got real close and whispered to me, "I just shit my pants." She told everyone who walked by before than that, until the teacher called her mom to pick her up. Weirdest moment of my life, because I'm not sure why she would tell everyone that. Girl would put a piece of bread in her mouth and proceed to roll the wet soggy bread mass into a ball. She would then take the ball out and look at it, and then put it back in her mouth, over and over again. That kid in our German class was arguing with the teacher about how he doesn't want to study anymore. Didn't hear the whole conversation, but one brilliant quote I heard loosely translates to, "I'm a god. I can delete you." We were 14 at the time. This kid used to drink cups of ranch dressing at lunch and nothing else. He would have 15, 20 of those little ketchup cups loaded on his tray and he'd start slurping it down. Pretty sure he had some kind of mental disability, so I don't want to rag on him too hard, but just watching him do that every day turned me off of ranch for a few years. This guy would just combine all of his food at lunch, including the drink, into a weird soup and eat it like that, no matter what we were eating. One guy threw the Wiffy router in the library into a wall and broke it. We got a better one after that though, so we all called him Wiffy Jesus. In my high school's Mac lab, the admin computer had a feature that let all the other iMacs be taken control of at the same time to mirror whatever the admin computer displayed. This was often used to show instructions more easily for in-class computer assignments. The teacher forgot to lock the admin computer during a washroom break, so one kid seized the opportunity to access the mode I mentioned just now and rickroll the whole lab using one of those sites that makes the browser jump all over the screen, starting it right before the teacher came back. The teacher wasn't very savvy with computers, so she got very agitated and had to call the IT guy for help. In elementary school I used to be very afraid of using the school washroom for shitting, and one time I shit my shorts in class because I couldn't hold it in any longer. Since I was wearing shorts, the shit ran down my legs and onto the floor. Man, so this kid was a strange one. Maybe something was up with him, but I don't know. He really liked Slipknot. Anyway, one day he swore he was a Wiccan. We used to have Smash Bro tournaments and invite kids over to play at a friend's, and he showed up saying he was able to change his eye color. He closed his eyes to concentrate and he opened them saying they changed. They didn't. He said they became a lighter shade. He tried to show me how to create fireballs and had this book of different wolf pictures and tried to determine what my wolf form was. He wasn't a bad kid, just weird, so we dealt with it until the incident. He was really into the Wiccan stuff, so two of my friends decided to duck with him. I guess you can say they were metalheads, and they had that look. Anyway, they told me they went up to him one day and revealed themselves as demons. One of them, let's call him Vince, said he reached out to him from down the hallway and said, "Your soul is mine," and made gestures like he pulled his soul out of his body and buried into in the floor. So the kid freaks the duck out and begs for his soul back, and my friends leave thinking the dumb prank was over. Later that day, I get a knock on my door and it's the kid. He has a pair of those sharp metal scissors in his hands, and he looks frantic. He is aggressive and tells me that he needs to find Vince. He needs to kill Vince and get his soul back. I'm pretty shocked, so I tell him that I don't know where Vince is, and the kid is reluctant to believe me because he has seen me with them. He asked me if I knew they were demons, and I tell them I didn't know. Anyway, I pretty much shut the door on him, and he leaves hysterical. Supposedly, he was running around trying to find Vince to murder him and retrieve his soul, but this kid was a pretty big kid, so someone saw him running around in the streets with scissors. We don't know what happened to him. Consider subscribing if you enjoyed this video, and if you want to see more of Reddit Universe.